And hello, everyone in the sports world in the Rio Grande Valley. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to listen to another installment of the South Texas Border Sports Podcast. My name is Ray Silva, and thank you for stopping by. Joining us today, he is originally from Edinburg, Texas, but from the lovely Abilene Plains. Joining us on our podcast is Joseph Chapa. Joseph, thank you for taking time out of the busy schedule. How are you? How's everything going? And thanks for stopping by.
Ray, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me onto your podcast. I love the Rio Grande Valley, born and raised there. Definitely, I'm excited to chat with you about sports and amongst other things. But I'm doing great. Very blessed. I'm excited for this new semester and happy to be chatting with you, my friend.
Thank you so much. The first time I saw of your works, it was in South Padre Island over at the border at the battle at the beach, and then the South Padre Island Invitational. Just tell me, just how did you get your foot into sports, and what was that first step like, and how has that journey been since for you?
Well, I grew up and sports is in my blood. I grew up. My dad, played football in high school, and he's a big sports nerd. Loves the Dallas Cowboys, so that's where my fandom kind of feeds from. Video games. I would play a lot of video games when I was little, so I'd always, get a taste for Madden and 2K and MLB sometimes. But then I would play. I was in Little League for a few years, center field and second baseman. Not too good. Did track for about a year in early middle school, but really it was basketball. Basketball has done wonders for me. I played all my life. I like to say I was a type of JJ Redick role in the basketball team. Came off the bench. You want me to make a three? I got you. Other than that, you're gonna have to go to the other guy to get some services on the basketball court. But after that, I've always grown to love sports media, talking about sports, watching the ESPNs of the world, the Fox Sports of the world, and so have you. I just fell in love with whether it's debate TV or live sports talk TV. I fell in love with that, and heading into college, didn't really know what I wanted to do, trying to find a passion during that COVID-19 era in 2020. And I said, well, I love sports. I know I will never be a professional athlete, and I'm okay with that. And I love communications. I love the field and that type of industry. Well, why not combine the two? And I found journalism and mass communications. I found broadcasting here at Abilene Christian University. And it's been amazing, Ray. I cannot tell you enough how blessed I am. Blessed for the resources that I have here, resources that UTRGV has, that we met at the South Padre Island Classic this past month. And really just the people that believe in me and my gifts and my up and coming abilities. And so I'm an on air talent for ACU TV. I like to do some work with UTRGV when I'm down in the valley. But I just love sports talk. I love sports journalism and can't wait to see where the future takes me.
Absolutely, Joseph. You're a little bit younger than my general guest at times, and I just got to ask you. You love the sports scene, you love the journalism scene, but here in the Rio Grande Valley, you're a valley native. Is it a little bit disappointing that there isn't much of a market for, uh, let's say, having at least a radio play-by-play, for some of our local sports teams, or is it just a general misconception, like, hey, whatever's available, whatever platform that whatever league provides for us, that's what we'll use and run with it? Or do you kind of feel like, hey, if I'm not available at the arena, I would sure like to perhaps tune in on the radio and listen to the local game. Do you kind of see like there is a need for that? I just wanted to get your overall thoughts on that.
Well, I'll tell you this, Ray. I think with the growth at the Rio Grande Valley, especially Edinburg, has been experiencing the past few years. It's been awesome to see it as I've grown up in middle school and high school, and of course now in my early college years. I think, especially with UTRGV football coming in a few years, athletics as a whole is growing. Of course, you have the Vipers, and then you're going to have high school sports, and you can go on and talk about all the different types of athletic events that go on in the Rio Grande Valley. There is certainly a need for major sports broadcasting, and to take it to as highest as the level as they possibly can. And the reason for that is because you want to put a great product out. I'm so very fortunate here that here at ACU, we have a state-of-the-art TV. It was donated to us by Jim Moore, the legendary Jim Moore here from ACU. And I feel that type of studio, that type of space, these type of resources that we have here, I can definitely see it in the Rio Grande Valley. I'm praying and hoping it's only a matter of time, whenever that is. I know it's a lot of money. Money is money, time is time, but I think it's only a matter of time before UTRGV and the Rio Grande Valley really sprout up into those types of things, because the way it is, man, the growth, the love, the passion, the work ethic. That's what I love about the Valley. And I feel that's in my DNA as well, as a work ethic. Learned it from my parents, but also learned it from people in the Valley, that taught me and mentored me, is that no matter what, if you have a goal and you work for it, you're going to achieve it. And I think the sports broadcasting opportunities, if the leaders in place in the Rio Grande Valley recognize that it's a need, that we have talented people like the Jonah Goldbergs of the world, who's fantastic, the Alec Del Barrios of the world, who are fantastic. If we can continue to build around them and build around up and coming students like myself, or other students who are in high school right now, or even in the college programs, it will be a master class of what the Rio Grande Valley will be able to put on in terms of live television.
Absolutely, Joseph. There, there's always been that sensation that, hey, the valley still is a decade behind, but now that you're a student and that you're at a place that has an established everything in Division 1 sports, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, and all of the other Olympic sports that entail college sports. Just how close is UTRGV to just kind of exploding into that pandemonium where they can say, "Hey, we're in the big, we're we're just this much away from being that major player that we want to be in."
And I'll start with basketball heading into football and the rest of athletics as a whole for the Vaqueros. I tell people all the time here, and people believe me, and people believe me even when I don't tell them, that UTRGV men and women's basketball is you cannot mess with them. We're seeing it now. The men's program, just read a stat that they're number 3 in the country in pace. They're one of the top scoring offenses in the country. They're second in the Western Athletic Conference. They have Justin Johnson, who I believe that with his passion, with his work ethic and dedication, he can continue to pursue his collegiate and professional basketball career. Of course, the women's side, with Coach Lane Lord, has done an incredible job. And I say that because, before basketball season started, it was, UTRGV is not going to make the tournament. UTRGV is not going to make any noise here in the WAC. But I'll tell you that with that, especially baseball as well, volleyball, they just proved it as well this year with the WAC championship being in Edinburg. They have been proving that, hey, even though we are the Rio Grande Valley, we may be hours and hours away from Abilene, from Stephenville, from Nacogdoches, from Huntsville, and the list goes on, that they are a force to be reckoned with. And now with football, and we see with head coach Travis Bush, I'm really excited for to see what he has in store. I think he's an incredible guy for the job, and I love his mission. And his mission is, to bring in student athletes to my program, talented athletes from not just the Rio Grande Valley area, but from the New Braunfels area, from the San Antonio area, from the Corpus area, and you can go on and list those areas. But the work ethic and the mission that UTRGV has is the reason why they're growing. and the WAC is starting to see it, and I think the NCAA and I think the entire country is starting to see it as well, and that makes me very happy. I know I'm a Wildcat. I know I'm going to graduate with ACU, but I will always be an honorary vaquero. UTRGV, grown up with it. When it was UTPA, was in their kids programs, went to the games. My mother worked there, still works there now. I mean, I have a lot of friends and loved ones that go to UTRGV and graduated from there. So I'm really excited to see the growth, and I'm really excited to see where UTRGV ends up in the next coming years.
Absolutely, Joseph. You know, uh, being being around athletics, what's kind of like uh that first taste of like success that you ever tasted, like being on that journalistic side? I mean, for me to just getting access is already a victory alone, uh, but for you, where does that satisfaction of like, hey man, I feel like this is such a personal W to me because you get to grow in all aspects. But for you, what would be that first one to like say, hey man, this is where I belong. This is like my my place.
I think that really hit for me last year and even the beginning of this year of the school year for me, my sophomore year, was the people. And I say that because, when I go on, live television on ESPN Plus and live television in general, it's not about me. If I mess up, if my tie is crooked, if I'm wearing the wrong colored shirt, if my hair is combed the other way, that doesn't matter. It's not about me. It's about who's watching. It's about the fans. It's about the people who are trying to learn the sport or just trying to tune in with their families and their loved ones into a great broadcast. And I think with the ACU community, especially the alumni and the distinguished guests and the professors and the student body has really galvanized around me. And I feel the love. I feel the support. I also felt it a lot in the Rio Grande Valley as well during my time there last month, just people, giving me hey, you've done a great job. We love your broadcast. We love how you're doing it. And I'm saying, you know what? I'm doing my job. That's a personal W because they're enjoying it. For me, yes, making it and continuing to strive and to grind it out in the industry. Yeah, that's great for me. But what's even better and more satisfying and more rewarding is the kid watching on the other side of the TV is happy, the parent, the alumnus, the next student athlete. That's what it's all about. So just hearing those comments, having those conversations with those people, just really is really rewarding to me in my early journey.
I guess for me, just entering the arena, taking in the stage, as the event is about to happen, whether you're in there 2 to 3 hours for preparation time, just going over some notes, or whatever role you are in that arena. For me, being the main scoreboard operator, and then having to switch out to the interviewing process of post game interviews, for me, that's always been a fun process for me. But for you being part of the broadcast over at Abilene Christian, what's been that first like important lesson that you took uh while being up there?
Yeah, I think the most important lesson that I've learned, right, is that the work before it's lights, camera, action, three, two, one, go, and we're live. All of the work, the majority of the work happens before you step into Mooney Coliseum, the field house, or South Padre Island, and the list goes on and on. And I say that because, on air, and, I'm a big Stephen A. Smith guy. I love Stephen A. Smith. I love Mike Greenberg. I love Michael Wilbon. And then we can have a whole conversation about my favorite anchors. But, and I love that they say this too, is that the MVPs are not necessarily them. It's the producers, it's the directors, it's the graphics operators, it's the teleprompters, and there's the audio technicians, and making sure that all those little things right to perfect the product, to perfect the craft, and of course, run through your notes. And a big key that I've learned is just having conversations with your play-by-play person or with your co-anchor, with your director. That way, it's like before you're going out to a big game, you're performing, you know what the game plan is, you know what the audience is expecting, you know what they want. And once you kind of get that done, you show up 2 hours before the game and you just say, hey, man, this is a basketball game. This is a football game. I've seen these, I've attended these all my life. But putting in the work beforehand, whether it's a weekly basis or a two-a-day or a daily basis, that's really the most important lesson that I learned. It's not just waking up one morning and say, hey, I'm going to put on my suit and tie. I'm going to go in front of the camera with an ESPN flag mic. No, it's waking up on that Monday, knowing that I have a game on Thursday, Saturday, or both, and saying, okay, Monday, I got to talk to the coaches. Monday, I got to talk to the players. Monday, I got to get the graphics run down. Tuesday, Wednesday, you build chemistry and storylines. Just the work and the grinding out of a sports broadcast is what I've learned so far in this industry.
Absolutely, Joseph, uh for me, you mentioned Stephen A. Smith, one of my favorite vocal ones of the industry.
He's got a good voice.
Especially how he rattles Cowboy fans on a weekly basis. I just love it. But this time I had to wait till the end of the regular season to really see that how about them Cowboy little rant that he goes on a weekly basis. I thought that is so genuine from him, going after Cowboy Nation in that regard. But let's turn our focus now to uh, let's just turn the focus now on to the whack system that they're using right now to kind of shuffle teams, uh, not in a statistical order, but let's just say they're basing everything off quad one, quad two wins. You a fan of that? Nay, yay. What's your point of view on that?
I see two sides. From an administrative side, from a manager side, from a front office perspective, uh, the WAC really wants it to make a two-bid league. And from that perspective, I say yeah. From a basketball perspective, from a coach's perspective, from an X's and O's, from being in the locker room with your team and you're getting ready to go out and battle it out on the hardwood. Um, it's a little bit tricky because at the end of the day, in the regular season, yes, it's always going to be about wins and losses. That's never going to be taken away. It's always, hey, for when the season starts in middle of November all the way to March, we got to prepare for the Vegas tournament. First of all, we got to make sure we're in the Vegas tournament, and once we establish that, then say, hey, do we have a good tournament team to when middle of March comes around and we're in Vegas and everyone's 0-0. Are we ready to go and battle it out? And I think with the resume seedings, Ray, from a basketball perspective, I think it really doesn't really do much from a coach's perspective. Definitely it causes you to look at more analytics. It causes you to look at more advanced stats like Ken Pomeroy. It causes you to put that into consideration. But I think talking with coaches, talking with players, hey man, it's just another statistic. It's just another number. It's just another category. What remains the same and will always remain the same in the sport of basketball is, it's 2 20-minute halves. We got the rules. We got the jerseys. We got the basketball shoes. We got the 10 players on the court. Let's go have a dogfight. Let's go play it out. Let's go see who's the better team. And I think with that mentality from the basketball side of things, you say, hey, you know what, resume seedings, cool, great, awesome. I'll pay attention, but that's not necessarily going to craft my entire game plan because it really can't. As a basketball coach and as a basketball savant, you can't say, oh, my whole game plan, my whole team, my philosophy has to be based around an analytic. That's just not what basketball will ever come to. At least that's my perspective. I think analytics, I think advanced statistics should be used wisely. I think they're a good thing when they are used properly. I don't think their sports, especially the sport of basketball, should be based off of numbers and percentages and probabilities. It should be based on, hey, we got team A, we got team B, who's better out the hardwood. But again, I see two sides of it, Ray. I see the manager, the front office side um, of it, and then I also see the basketball side of it. But I'm excited to see. We will never know how it really turn out until a few months from now in March, and see how the conference likes it, and see if they will continue to use that moving forward.
Personally, after seeing this for like the first few weeks into conference play, I'm not a fan of it. Let's just get that on record right now. I'm just not a fan of it because uh you're you're supposed to reward teams with the best record. That right now stands with the Sam Houston with Sam Houston, and you got a bunch of the Utah schools right behind that mix. And then you've got your Texas schools trying to fight get into that mix. So for me, it's kind of a mixed bag because you're going to reward the teams that have who have played the strongest schedule with the most wins in that strongest schedule. So right now, it's like you're looking at all the beauty pageants and you're just seeing a bunch of resumes, but you're not seeing any faces, anything to it. So right now, I like the older system because you're seeing everything develop in front of you as it happens. I mean, yes, your non-conference wins are nice. Getting a few power five, group of five wins are nice. But for me, I think you have to reward everything that happens within your conference because that's where you're going to be battling out at the end of the regular season to find yourself in a better position to get that conference title.
And I love that perspective, Ray. I think that was well eloquently said. Especially from the basketball side of things. I'll leave the front office side of things out of it because again, the WAC is trying to continue to push it. It truly is one of the best mid-major leagues in the country. We can have a separate conversation about a separate podcast, where it kind of lands in the ranks, but it truly is one of the best in the country. And with that, they are trying to advance and promote it. But you're absolutely right. From the basketball side of things, you have to take everything into account. I can tell you firsthand what I love about the ACU men's basketball team is the philosophy is, November, December, fans, I hear it with the student body here too, is, why are we losing some games? Why are we struggling against team A and team B? It's November, December. Shouldn't we be winning by 40 or 50 or 60? But, the philosophy that I love and I subscribe to is in November, December, before New Year's Eve comes or the 29th when the conference play starts, you want to be challenged. You want to discover the nuts and bolts of what your basketball team is made of. That way, here we are in middle of January, heading into February and March, when you're playing these conference teams twice, and whether it's you have Thursday and Saturday games, Wednesday and Saturday games, that you want to be able to come out on top. You want to be able to figure out your lineups. You want to be able to put your best team forward. But again, from the basketball side of things, it can get a little tricky because analytics and metrics and a mix of X's and O's. But I agree with you, Ray. But we will just have to wait and see what it all concludes to and see how the WAC and its members respond to it.
Absolutely, we were part of a conversation back at the island. And remember when I told you about there's going to be a WAC a Southland conference? I finally figured out the school who let that nugget of information out, and it's not any of the WAC schools in purple. It was Northwestern State out of the Southland. It,
Ah,
if you go online and see their or go to their Twitter and look at their schedule release tweet, they had the little graphic of the WAC Southland Conference Challenge.
a little bit of a spoiler.
A little bit of a spoiler, but you see, it would have already been announced at this time. Think
Sure.
about that.
Yeah.
Think about that. Where Southland only has their 8 schools, and you put them against the top 8 of the WAC. That would have made some sense.
Yeah, and going back to our conversation, we just love talking about, we hear, mainstream media and we talk about SEC drama, or Big 12 drama, Big 10 drama. I mean, WAC and Southland drama, I mean, ASUN drama, I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. Obviously, they may not be to that large magnitude, but it goes to the same effect. And I think with the WAC and the Southland, man, there's some really good mid-major programs. And then I think again, in order to conclude that, you got to go out and watch. You got to go out and see these teams. You got to go, Conference USA as well. You got to go out and go based off of or beyond the numbers, I should say. But I'm really excited. Thank you for dropping that a little Ray Silva Woj bomb. To say, but it's gonna be interesting how the WAC continues to again promote itself in all of its athletic events, especially football. I mean, that's making some big news, don't you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, especially with my recent conversation with Oliver Luck, which you could find on the YouTube channel. You use the word drama between WAC and Southland, high Lamar, high incarnate word. You two guys caused all the drama by stepping into the WAC and then take a little swipe shot on your way got on the way out too.
Yeah, I mean, here at ACU, heading into, I'll tell you what, heading into football season, this past semester, it was okay. Lamar just announced they're moving back, but we're opening our season on September 1st against Lamar. What are the implications of this game? What's going on? Are we even going to have this game? There were rumors that it was going to be rescheduled, and there were rumors that it was just going to be a non-conference game, and that ended up being the case, right? But it ended up being a good contest, and that goes to my point that a Lamar team who struggled in the WAC last season, in basketball and football, is that even though they're back in the Southland, that they can give you a good run for your money if you do not respect them, if you do not come out with your A game, or even if you do, they are getting a lot better. They are that good. But yeah, Red, the conference drama, the conference chatter, the rumors, the news, especially surrounding with football and FBS, with ACU, UTRGV when they come up, and the other teams go on, is going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, just take a look at the graphic I just showed you, and you'll be surprised that it it wasn't the whack.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is crazy, man. That's coming up soon too, 24th, 26th
Yeah, and
February.
that just coincides with the whack swimming and diving meet over in Edinburg, Texas, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's going to be at the new Far Aquatic Center, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that I when I was interning with UTRGV this past summer, I was able to tour the facility, and I love it, man. I think that's an elite facility. I'm excited to watch some of the highlights, if I have time to tune in for the championship, for the tournament. But I just love how, and we alluded to this in the beginning of the show, but Edinburg is growing. We have state-of-the-art facilities. I can't wait for the field house renovations. I truly can't wait for UTRG football. I know you're excited too. Can't wait to see you at those games. I know my buddies and I, who grew up together in the RGV, as soon as football comes around, we go back into town, kind of maybe after college, see what our lives are like, or even just travel down, just get some tickets, man. Try and get some front row seats. Cheer on the Vaqueros. Goes back again. Yes, I'm an AC Wildcat, but it's definitely something that unites the Valley. That, hey, UTRGV football is here, and we got to all celebrate and come together for it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Joseph Chapa, out of Abilene Christian University, for joining us on the podcast. Joseph, thank you so much for stopping by. Just drop us your social media handles where people can find your work at.
Absolutely, Ray. They're all the same: Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, at Joseph D. Chapa. So you can find me there. You can tune in for ACU basketball broadcasts on ESPN Plus for the rest of the semester. And finally, Ray, thank you so much. I really appreciate you inviting me on. It was fun. And God bless you, man. And God bless all of you listeners out there.
Hello, sports fans. Thanks for listening to another episode of the South Texas Border Sports Podcast. This is your host, Ray Silva. Be tuned next week for another great episode as we drop podcasts every Monday here on anchor.fm/STBS. Don't forget, our podcast can also be found via Google Podcast, Apple iTunes, and Spotify. Thanks for listening.